So if you're a politician, it is important for you to deliver a message to your voters on topics of high national interest. Even if we go back through history, rulers often had their intentions known to broader public by having public tribunes proclaiming it from the city squares or by posting imperial decrees and other orders on the appropriate spot. Today we live in a modern age dominated by social media and various TV stations that allow current and future leaders to deliver this message exactly the way they want it. Greetings everyone, my name is Nikola Tomic, and in today's video we're gonna do a deep dive into the history of the first televised US presidential debate. So the advent of TV was a true game changer when it comes to reaching out a broader audience and informing and entertaining people in a more personal and immersive way. So before that, main ways of communication were radio transmissions, and sometime before that, a telegraph was heralded as a main propellant to the way we do business and correspond with each other. Now, in the first half of 20th century, thanks to a series of scientific breakthroughs and inventions, such as iconoscope camera tube by Vladimir Zworykin and his team, as well as image dissector invented by Farnsworth, the TV as we know it came to be. As you can imagine, everyone, including politicians, saw the potential impact of this new media form. Thus, on April 30th, 1939, Franklin Delano Roosevelt made the first appearance on television by a sitting president. This was during the opening of 1939 World's Fair in New York City on the 150th anniversary of George Washington's inauguration. Roosevelt's words emphasized the unity of the nation and the scientific and cultural progress that has been made since Washington was in the office. After World War II, many politicians took to the TV stations to address the nation and challenge their political opponents. Even the US Senate allowed TV cameras in 1947 during the committee hearing, thus marking another milestone. Now, before we jump to the first TV face-off between US presidential candidates, it is important to mention another presidential debate that didn't happen, but instead gave way to another landmark moment in the US history. See, in 1956, a Democrat candidate, Adlai Stevenson, challenged then still President Dwight Eisenhower from the Republican Party. This debate, however, was not to be, and instead, on November 4th, 1956, two surrogates debated on the issues on network television. For Democrats, former First Lady and party icon Eleanor Roosevelt, and for the Republicans, the senior senator from Maine, Margaret Chase Smith. Not only that this was the first when it comes to broadcasting such an event on TV, but it was heralded by two women, each of whom wielded significant influence on the political life in the United States at the time. Although there was a large dose of respect between these two ladies, the debate itself turned very emotional, so much so that at the end, Eleanor Roosevelt refused to handshakes with her debate opponent, which outlined the personal impact that this can have on an average viewer, and it definitely was a sign of things to come. Now, this brings us to September 26, 1960, and the first televised presidential debate between two major candidates. For the Democrat Party, this was Senator John F. Kennedy, while his opponent was then Vice President Richard Nixon from the Republican Party. This event was produced by CBS, and to say that it was impactful will be a serious understatement. See, by then, around 90% of US households owned a TV, and it's estimated that around 70 million Americans tuned in to watch and listen how these two candidates view the future of the United States. A total of 4 debates took place, although most will agree that the first one was the most impactful and it had the highest viewership. The controversy, however, quickly followed these debates, outlining some issues with presenting candidates and how that impacts the potential voter. At the same time as the debate was aired on TV, it was also broadcasted on radio stations. Now, most of the people who listened to the debate would say that Nixon won this over Kennedy, while those who watched will say that Kennedy overshadowed his opponent and delivered a more impactful message, mostly due to the fact that he had a higher charisma and he looked better on TV. Many will also say that this was the main reason why Kennedy narrowly won the presidential election that took place later that year. This, however, did not bother Nixon in the later political career, considering that he went on to win 2 presidential elections in 1968 as well as the re-election in 1972. One can even say that he became a fan of TV/video/audio technology, mostly audio. Although this moment marked a new era in the way Americans judge their political candidates, there was a 16-year pause of potential presidential presidents facing off on a small screens. Until 1976, when President Gerald Ford, who had entered office 2 years earlier after President Nixon resigned, agreed to 3 debates with his Democrat challenger, Jimmy Carter. In the decades that followed, this event became one, if not the most important factor when it comes to winning the hearts and minds of those who will fill the ballots. Whether it's the way you look or some grand ideas that will make the lives of ordinary citizens better, you have to do that in front of cameras that will deliver your fate to be judged at the presidential elections. While certainly still not less controversial than before, like any other major breakthrough, this is here to stay. So this brings us to the end of today's videos. I hope you like this. It's a very interesting topic and I highly recommend you go and research for yourself. I will put some links down below that I use for research. If you really like this, I will really appreciate if you consider liking and subscribing to my channel. You can also watch some of the other videos that I make. As you may know or may not, I make one short video per day, except for the days when I make these longer videos. I also have a link to my Patreon account. It's going to be down in the description and the pinned comment below. So if you think that you can chip in a little bit, I'd appreciate that. If not, doesn't matter. This is YouTube, so you're getting stuff for free. So stay safe and I'll see you on the next one.